Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're here to talk all about depth of field, so buckle up because this one's going to be a fast but fun one. Okay, so we've got Beanie and Alfie with us today, who are going to be our superstar little models. Beanie, can you come sit? Good girl. So we've got both of these two little legends with us. Beanie's unlikely to have quite the level of concentration that Alfie has. And we've also got with us a tape measure, which is 60 meters in length, because it's going to help to illustrate the concepts I'm going to discuss today. Now, we have literally got less than 30 minutes before we lose the light that's here, and I would like to actually take some portraits. So I'm going to be keeping this as short as physically possible. Now, the reason why we're going to talk about depth of field today and why we've brought out two dogs to a woodland location is because this is where it kind of comes into its own and is useful. I see so many misconceptions that aperture, your F number, is the only thing that controls the depth of field, and actually it couldn't be further from the truth. Most of the professional portrait dog photographers around the world usually shoot exclusively wide open or very close to wide open on the lenses, yet they can still get multiple dogs in focus, the whole dog in focus, the dog and the scene in focus. They want to illustrate the different things that are involved in making sure that your depth of field is what you want it to be. Okay, so we're going to cover off the three things that affect depth of field, and we're also going to talk quickly first about what depth of field actually is. If you're new here, then hi, I'm Jess. I'm a pretty decent portrait photographer based out of England. I photograph mainly animals, but also other stuff as well. If you would like to, do consider hitting the subscribe button, hit the bell icon. The bell icon will give you notification every single time I upload a YouTube video. I upload every single week, and sometimes more than that if I feel like it and if I have time. What is depth of field? Well, depth of field is that tiny little slither of focus that happens throughout your image. So wherever you put your focus point and the camera grabs focus, your depth of field is the depth in measured increments, usually inches or centimeters, of that chunk of focus. Now, that is different from the focus point and the focus distance. So we're going to cover off all of those different bits and pieces today as quickly as possible with a tape measure. So I'm going to lay out the tape measure from here, which is where I'm going to shoot from today, all the way up the track. I would probably be usually choosing a flatter track with a bit more to it, but this is what we've got here today. So I'm going to roll out this tape measure and then we'll discuss. Okie doke, guys, so hopefully you can see through my screen. I'm right at the start of this tape measure, and it goes all the way up for about 50 meters, all the way up there. Okay, so guys, basically I'm on a 135mm lens, and you guys can see the settings that I'm using at the moment. Beanie's about to enter the frame. So you can see in terms of like sizes, that's what we're working with. And we're going to explore depth of field by using an F number of 2.8. And that's what we're going to stick out for today. Okay, so if the bag is the photographer in this instance, and we walk down this 50-meter line, Alfie's going to stay there because he's an absolute legend, okay? The further we go from the bag, the photographer in this instance, that's called the focus distance. So at the moment, the focus distance is 20 foot, 5 meters. That's the focus distance. And the depth of field at this level is going to be changing depending on two things: your focal length and your F number, okay? Because the distance is fixed. The wider the lens, the wider the field of view, okay? The larger the depth of field regardless of the F number. Okay, so it could be at f2 and it will still be bigger because it's a wider lens than it would be at f2 on a longer lens. Okay, so it's irrelevant. The wider the lens, the larger the depth of field, regardless of the aperture. The aperture and the F number is also going to come into consideration here, so that is going to have an impact on the depth of field in here. But the main thing that's having the biggest impact is actually the distance. That 6 meter point makes the biggest difference regardless of the lens, regardless of the aperture. So if we were to move down the line to about 20 meters, for example, which we will do, we'll do that with a dog because that's far more interesting than me. If we were to move down to 20 meters, because we've extended the focus distance, i.e. the distance from the photographer, the camera bag, and the subject at 20 meters down the line, because that's got bigger, the depth of field has also got bigger, regardless of the focal length, regardless of the aperture. So you've got three things that control depth of field: aperture, focal length, and the distance from the camera, okay, your focus distance. Now, we've talked about how to get blurry backgrounds before. I'll link to that video above. I've also talked about how to take a portrait before. I'll link to that video above as well after the other one's been linked. But what we're going to do now is we're going to set up a dog, and I'm going to show you what happens in camera using one lens, which is a fixed focal length, so it's all at 135mm. We're going to use the same aperture, f2.8, all the way through, and we're just going to move the subject along these meter points, and I'll tell you what meter point they are. So I think let's get Alfie into the shot, let's get a squeaky ball, let's get some snacks, and let's shoot. Okay, so I've got my aperture set at f2.8. I'm just going to use I'm just going to use auto ISO, and I'm just going to set my shutter speed to 1/320th of a second ish, which is about 2 times and a little bit extra on 135. I'm going to put Alfie first at 6 meters. So I'm going to find 6 meters on my measure, which is a bit higgledy-piggledy. Here it is. In fact, I'll pop him at 5 meters because we'll go for a nice round number. Now, Alfie, come. I want his eyes on 5 meters. It is helpful when you've got a well-trained dog. Down, back up, down, come, down. Pretty close. Wait, down, good, wait. So that's about 5 meters. I've set him just to the side of the measure. I'm going to go back to the end, so I'm going to be starting at 0 centimeters, and I'm going to be shooting him down the track. So you guys will be able to see through my screen at the moment, and I'm going to just focus, grabbing focus on his eye, and shoot. Good boy, Alfie, wait. Perfect, good boy, wait. So that's at 6 meters. We'll assess these images in a sec. 5 meters, sorry. I'm gonna go and put him at 10 meters. So he's now 10 meters from me. I'm gonna stay in the same place as best as physically possible. And I'm gonna focus. Remember, I'm on a 135mm. So I can't zoom in, and I'm just gonna take a portrait. Okay, so I'm gonna take another one just to make sure. I could do with a smaller focus point, so I'm just gonna go and get one. Perfect, good boy, good. So I'm gonna go and lead him out now. I'm gonna double that. So we're gonna go straight to 20 meters, which I think is as long as we need to go on this, because I feel like you guys have already seen the difference. So we're just gonna take a shot here. And you'll see I've got this strange composition. It's just because this is actually the best composition for the scene right now. So that was 5 meters, 10 meters, and 20 meters at f2.8 at 135. I'm not gonna change the focal length today, but what I'm gonna do is change the aperture so that you can see the difference in the actual images shot. So I'm gonna change my aperture to f8. So I'm going to lose quite a lot of light by being at f8, but you should be able to see the difference. So again, I wouldn't usually shoot like this because it's too dark here. Realistically, my ISO is going to be pushed, but we'll go with it anyway so you guys can see the depth of field difference. Where's Ball? Where is Ball? Okay, so we're gonna put him, we're gonna be shooting at f8, I've just switched, so we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be putting him at 6 meters again, so I'm gonna find, no, 5 meters, which is here. Come down, superstar. Come close, back down. Good, that's perfect. Absolutely spot on there. Dan's gonna move out the way so that he's not in the shot. I'm gonna shoot exactly from my point again, try and get a similar shot, if I can. Super, ready, Alf? Wow. Oh, we'll go with it. Right, so he did just break his weight, but we're going to ignore it because we ignore negative behaviour and we praise good behaviour. I'm going to find my 10 metre point. So pop him at the 10 metre point. He's going to wait there because he's a legend. Golden hour is going to be gorgeous. So again, f8, trying to compose a similar shot here. I'm wobbly. And then 20 metres. Dan, do you want to go and position him? Dan's going to put him at 20 metres. I'm at my point with Dan in shot because, you know, why not? I'm so wobbly. Sorry, guys. Oh my goodness, what was that? I might do it up my shutter speed. Okay, so guys, that is like my little mini masterclass on depth of field. So remember what controls it. Distance from the subject to the camera, okay, that controls the depth of field. Then you've also got your aperture. The smaller the F number, the smaller the depth of field. And you also have your focal length. So the longer the lens, the smaller the depth of field. So for the best blurry backgrounds with some golden hour sunlight like we've got behind us here, you want to be using a really small F number. Okay, you want to be using a longer lens, so something longer than 85mm, maybe even more than that. In this case, you've got the 135mm. And you also want to be making sure that the subject is close to you, so not too far away, because what that's going to do is it's going to increase the depth of field. I'm going to have to go and confiscate a ball, so that's it for today. I'll show you some pictures at the end, and I'll see you guys again really soon. P.S. if this was helpful, please say so and share it with a friend. Really helps us out. Love you guys. Stay safe.